Hello everyone, welcome to the signature series Voices of Plaksha, which is hosted by Center for Thinking, Language and Communication. Today we are recording the very first episode with Professor Amit Sheth. Professor Amit Sheth, how are you doing before we start the whole conversation?
Hi, Saurabh. First of all, thanks for calling me over for this podcast. Very interesting. Tell me.
So before delving into the whole design aspect and the whole courses in Plaksha University, I just want to know who you are as an individual. Let's say, let's remove the professor tag right now. If I meet you outside university, who is Amit?
Saurabh, the simplest answer I can give you, and probably the most honest one, is I'm a tinkerer. I like to dabble in a lot of things. Whether it's music, it's travel, it's opening up equipment, designing new stuff. I call it tinkering. Right. So that's me. Yeah, tinkerer is the right word.
Somehow already gives us a glimpse of you being a professional. As I saw your journey, academic journey, you started from engineering, then you delved into the designing aspect. So directly from there, I want to ask, what made you think that you should actually go into the design world? Like, was there any instance or something or any anecdote which you can share? Like, why design?
Actually, sort of, it's the other way around.
Okay.
I was always supposed to be a designer or an architect. I'd been doing work and dabbling in small architectural projects as a school student. All right. And in fact, I got my drawing board and set square and T-squares in my 8th standard.
Oh.
All right. And my father almost got a heart attack when he realized I'm not going to do design or architecture. He had got me the forms for CEPT Ahmedabad, NID Ahmedabad. And because somewhere around the 10th or 11th standard, the electronics bug had bit me.
Okay.
All right. And I was convinced I should be doing engineering in electronics. And I told my father that. And he says, why? He says, you have to become a designer. But I was adamant, rebellious at that age. Marks were never a problem. So I went for engineering. Then I realized that, it took me time. It's a 5-year program. At the end of my 3rd year, I came home and said, Dad, I think, you're right. I need to go for design. I'm not enjoying engineering as much. Of course, the labs, it's all tinkering, so I have a great time. But the math is somewhere bothering me. He says, fine, finish it. And then if I can afford it, I'll put it through college again, which was very good advice. So I went back, I finished my engineering reasonably well. And then I got admissions in IIT Bombay and NID Ahmedabad for design. And I joined NID Ahmedabad.
Professor, you yourself call yourself as tinkerer. And, a lot of students who have raised this question that, Professor calls him tinkerer. I want to know, because this word in itself generates a lot of curiosity in my mind. Why do you call yourself as a tinkerer? Like, is there a particular scene which makes you think that it's better to identify yourself as tinkerer?
No, it's just that I love to... See, I'm very curious, right? And I would say curiosity never killed the cat. It just made the cat wiser.
Right.
I have to first of all thank my father, because when I was 6 years old, I got... As my birthday gift, I got a toolkit.
Okay.
All right. With basic tools, hand tools. And I generally had permission to do a lot of things in the house. Never a problem. So I've opened up old valve radios and turntables and measuring tape. Curious as to how these things function. Right. And by and large, I've managed to put everything back together again.
Right.
So that has always been there. The second part of my growing up, from my 3rd standard till my 12th, I had this great opportunity of being at the Vikram Sarabhai Community Science Center in Ahmedabad, where I was a director much later. So we had all these science labs, math labs, the workshop, photography. So every Sunday of my life, almost every Sunday, I've been there, where I've been involved in doing a lot of things, making stuff, exhibitions, documentation on scientific aspects. So that's always been great. I was never into sports.
Okay.
But I was more into the sciences and the arts and doing all these things. And that has carried on. I still have almost all the toys which I was given by my parents since I was 4 years old.
Okay.
All right. I still love Lego.
Okay.
My last few years, my major pastime at home is to play with my trains. I have a reasonably large model railway layout.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, if you come to my cabin or home, wherever, you'll find toys with me all the time.
Right.
Because jigsaw puzzles, I now design my own jigsaw puzzles. And even three-dimensional puzzles, I love making them, solving them. And, it gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah. So now when we see the whole transition from the designing background now to being an educator in Plaksha University, Plaksha University is somehow playing a very important role in bringing designing and engineering at the same plate.
Yeah.
So how do you think like your course especially bring that particular aspect of design which you have learned in your basic design school itself in this engineering education institute?
See, Saurabh, you can't make someone a designer by one course.
Right.
All right.
Right.
But what you can pass on is get them sensitized to what is good design, what is bad design, and you can open them up to what is called design process.
Right.
The world calls it design thinking, but a lot of us prefer calling it design process. So irrespective of whichever area you're in, whether you tomorrow become a software specialist, you become a bioengineer, you become a civil engineer, a doctor, a legal aid, the design process helps you find a lot of solutions by getting the aspects of empathy into your thinking, right? And brainstorming, working out different solutions, and then coming out with a concept which you can test and then see if it works well, and then taking it forward. So the design process is something which I feel everybody needs to know. I'm very happy, at least as the last 2 years, now they're teaching design process at least in all the CBSE schools in India.
Okay.
All right. So at least there is a fair amount of school students who learn design at a much younger age, 8th standard if I'm not mistaken, which is excellent. Universities, engineering colleges like IITs, IIT Gandhinagar especially, where I've taught for 5 years, and Plaksha, the design course is compulsory for all the first year students. The other part of the design course, especially at Plaksha, is I have added the Makerspace to it.
Right.
And the reason is that most of our students, they're excellent at number crunching, okay? They probably will be good at ideating eventually, but they don't work with their hands. And I think you need to know basics with your hands. So at the Makerspace, they have projects where they have to learn everything right from the sewing machine to CNC machines to 3D printers.
So is there any particular strategy? Because when I see engineering student, the place where they come from, they ideally are studying directly physics, chemistry, maths and everything. Do you take any strategy into accountability while teaching them design? Like anything?
See, what has to be very kept in mind is the maker movement, in fact, is the third digital revolution going on. All right. Most of your concepts, you can get all the information online. You can understand and learn about it. There are some excellent websites out there and courses also. You don't necessarily need to sit in a classroom for that. But what is not available everywhere is a good makerspace where you can learn to make things.
Right.
In a decade or so, probably a lot of the stuff in your house, you will make it at home. 3D printers will be as common as microwave ovens. They're already becoming affordable. They'll become even more affordable with more facilities. There are people who make their own shoes at home, right? So I don't see why you can't make a lot of stuff. You don't need to go to a market to buy it.
Which in itself is pretty different. Like Makerspace itself is pretty different from normal conventional models which are out there in the market, especially. Now, that was my especially the follow-up question about the Makerspace. That Makerspace, do you think, of course, it has been making a lot of impact, but when we talk about metrics and the whole scale, each and every student coming into the Makerspace and making their own projects and then submitting them, how do you think the whole shift has been changed regarding design among students?
See, the shift, I would say, Saurabh, is this way that if I look at the first batch of students who joined Plaksha 4 years ago, and the current batch, the 5th batch we just joined, you see a gradual change in the kind of makeup of the students. That today's batch, the 5th batch we just joined, about 5% already have their own 3D printers at home. And about 10 to 15% have already worked on CNC laser, on 3D printers, which my first batch probably none of them had. So people are changing, students are changing. It's like technology, right? So more students are already aware of these various equipment and how to use it because of their schools, or they had access to a tinkering lab. So that is the big change, and therefore the output of the students definitely improves. The kind of projects that they do is superior than what was done earlier, and that change is going to happen.
Is the bar each and every year getting a little up with respect to engaging with students and their engagement?
It is. I mean, on an average, we've had at least about 1 or 2 patentable ideas from the first year students, right? Whether it was IIT earlier or Plaksha now. I'm sure this year, already I get a feeling that I'm going to be looking at many more than just 1 or 2.
What I can also recall from our prior conversation, which we had in our very first meet, was your idea about universal design, especially. I mean, each and every day, individual sees a lot of things every day. What made you especially think, especially about universal design, something that is acceptable for everyone?
Well, there are 2 reasons. One, of course, is my guide at NID for my master's program, Professor Balram. He's one of the foremost exponents of universal design in India. So he's definitely a huge influence to me. And I'm helping him with his current book, which is going to come out soon. Second, I myself had a very major accident at NID Ahmedabad, where I had multiple fractures, all because there were no railings on the staircase, right? And I was, of course, hospitalized, and then I was in bed for a very long time. And that made me realize that why you need better systems around. So the reason of teaching universal design as a compulsory, again, segment in my course with the students is to get them sensitized to environments around them. Of course, one is if they're designing products, whether it's 2D, 3D, on the web, whatever, that everybody should be able to use it. Second is the environment that they work in or they live in.
Right.
They should be friendly to all. There should be access for all. So, because we still don't teach it in our schools. And I think we are a little behind in our country that way. We don't have enough facilities, except probably barring airports and the metro systems so far, which definitely are more accessible, and some institutions, hotels probably. Most of our places don't. If you complain, they'll put up a ramp, but the ramp angle will be wrong.
Right.
So it doesn't help.
Exactly.
Because people don't really understand the problem.
Right.
So I want to sensitize these students.
And especially when we talk about in a national interest in India, like you also mentioned the Aadhaar card example, which in the last conversation, could you elaborate a little more, like why Aadhaar card do you think is the most universally acceptable design system in itself?
See, let's start with the logo of the Aadhaar card.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's a fingerprint.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that is something everybody can understand immediately.
Exactly.
What it is, what this card's about, right? So that itself is a major step in trying to convince people that this card is universal. And then of course the Indian colors are there, so you know it's an Indian card. The other reason the Aadhaar card, it is a card for all the citizens of India. So the kind of projects the final projects my students have to do in this design course that I teach, one of the 4 project areas is design for a billion.
Okay.
We are a 1.4 billion country. I am not very keen in designing, say, fancy equipment or fancy white goods for that 1% of society.
Right.
They can buy it wherever, they can import it. It doesn't matter. It is the 99% which need a lot more basics. For example, one of my personal research areas is wayfinding. That is the science of signage. And people tell me, Google is there, Google Maps are there. Why are you designing signage? People don't know how to use Google Maps, number one. Everybody does not have a smartphone where they have a map inside. Right? And people have to go to a hospital, whether they like it or not. They have to probably go to a local bus stand to catch a bus to go somewhere, or to go to a government office for some paperwork or the other. everybody gets lost,
Right.
right? Language is a huge barrier. We have 26 official languages plus so many dialects. We need to develop a symbol system and icons or pictograms which are acceptable all over the country. So that is my major research work area, right? And that's what I'm really concerned about. Which is I feel you need, it has to be on the road. I mean, if you go on the road, you don't understand this signs, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? There'll be more accidents.
Right.
So people need to be made aware. And the language, you just cannot import it.
And which makes me bring to the next question itself. Like, of course, you were a designer before joining Plaksha University and teaching many other universities. What made you step into the role of educator? Like, why do you think you left the whole journey of designing behind, and then maybe not behind, of course, but still.
Well, I don't think you know this, but I've been an educator, right? I did a 5-year engineering program.
Right.
And my 4th year, my university invited 5 of us to become student faculty members.
Okay.
So I was a student faculty member and I was an instructor in charge of a 3-credit course right from my 4th year.
Yeah.
That was my first teaching opportunity. All right. For my final training, I went into a research lab where I worked in the area of three-dimensional imaging, holography, and even wrote a paper.
Okay.
So teaching has always been an exciting area for me. When I started my own office, because I don't believe I should start teaching the day I graduate. When I finished NID, I was immediately invited by the institute to become a faculty member. I said, no, I need 5 years of industrial experience to work outside, and then I'll come back and teach. And that's exactly what I did. After 5 years, I became a visiting faculty at NID for about 15 odd years, plus a lot of other places. And we started taking 6 interns in our office every year.
Right.
So we've had over 100 interns, 120 interns.
Professor, do you think things like traveling or the things or other disciplines of recreation like music, dance, or any other form, do they shape or change our way of perception of design? Like, do you think traveling in itself is helping an individual? Like, some students did tell me that you love to travel a lot. So do that particular activity and recreation changes your perception of design especially?
I'll just take a very simple example.
Right.
Traveling has become much cheaper, at least to the Middle East and the Far East, or the Southeast Asian countries in the last 15 years. A lot more Indians have traveled to these countries, both because it's been cost effective and more accessible. The visa rules have been easier. European countries have another set of problems about visas, plus the cost factor. People have gone outside, they come back, and that has been a big impetus in improving design quality in basic things in India. They say, why idhar kyun nahi hai?
Right.
Right?
Everyone.
Why can't we have better trains? Why can't we have better suitcases? Better everything, you know? So it's feedback from people. When you travel, you see things, you experience things.
Right.
And that question does come up. It's happening out here. Why can't it happen at our place?
Exactly.
Right? So travel is something I tell everyone. Start local. That's not a problem. Travel, you'll see people, you'll understand people. You'll understand society, right? You'll see systems around. Your brain always does this comparison and sees where we can change things or where we should change things or make things better.
Are there any particular places that you would recommend young students to, visit and experience and know more about, like anything?
Well, I would say definitely please travel within the country as a first. That's very important.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at going outside the country, I recently had a very exciting trip to South Korea, and I went to Seoul for a delegation, and I was amazed at. That city was far more impressive than most of the Western countries I've been to. Okay, and it's just the people out there got together and decided to improve and do things, and the government worked with them. So I think that's a country you must go, and the people in South Korea are very happy to work with India. So that also makes it easy.
Seeing from the future perspective, like 10 to 15 years from now, how do you see design evolving? Like, of course, now the whole, like you said, universal design, which is somehow coming into action nowadays within the political system and government as well. But in an action, the way whole AI is coming into action, the whole interference coming into action, how do you think design will be perceived from 10 to 15 years from now? Or let's say a little more far. Will it be totally same, or do you think any change?
No, there will
come?
be changes. I don't really see AI as helping on or really causing any issues for people who are into design. It just might make it's like a calculator made calculations faster and easier. AI will probably make some of the basic concepts quicker and easier. But a final solution, you will still need the human brain, which can analyze, we can appreciate empathy and what the user really needs. So we are slowly going towards more a planet-centric design, where we are not only saying design for humans, but design for every living thing around us, more sustainable, more eco-friendly.
Yeah.
So I call it more planet-centric.
Okay. Adding that thing only from 10 to 15 years from now. What hope do you imbibe in the young students who are you teaching right now? Like, what kind of products do you think they should work on? Like anything which is much of a need and requirement for a society.
See, you want to have more efficient products coming out.
Right.
And again, like I mentioned, just a bit more planet-centric, right? You will have a small percentage of people always working on very niche areas, all right? To be in what I call the fashion magazines.
Right.
That's okay. It's a niche area. So be it. But I think people will start working, or should be working definitely, where we're concerned more with the masses. Because sustainability is everyone's issue. Right? Eco-friendliness is again critical. Climate change is a reality. So whatever we do has to work towards improving those situations.
Exactly. Professor, this has been such an enriching conversation with you about design, teaching, even traveling for that instance. Thank you, Professor Sheth, for this whole experience of talking with you. And I want my listeners that they do take home what I take home with you, the whole conversation and sharing of ideas. So thank you everyone for listening to this particular episode. This is the very first episode, and we will keep coming with more such episodes, which is hosted by Center for Thinking, Language and Communication. So keep creating, keep thinking, and of course, keep tinkering. Thank you very much.
Thank you.